Reluctant Entrepreneur Tarot. I'm Diana Ideas, Master Certified Coach, and this video takes you behind the scenes for Reluctant Entrepreneur Tarot, Card 8, Risk. So, in the entrepreneur's journey through the major arcana, Rachel Pollack refers to this first line as the worldly sequence. So, you have the important players and the people met, and also the entrepreneur is building that drive to move forward on the journey. The risk card actually comes up at the beginning of that second line, so the turning inward. So, there's been a lot of external sources seeing the power wielded by the magician and the empress, seeing those external things, innovation, sales, money, partnership. And as we look inward and start to look at risk, identity, how are our patterns serving us or not serving us? What's our data showing us? Is it time to move? Is our reluctance serving us? Are there things that need to end or close? And then also, how are we balancing things? And then if we make it through all of that internal reflection, we get through the harder season. Closure to failure is considered the kind of big three. This is the dark turn of tarot in the great journey. But then through that, making it through that, looking at additional cycles, reflection, judgment, perspective, and success. So obviously, things don't go in linear order, and you may be anywhere in these cycles or find yourself repeating pieces of the cycle. But as we look at some tarot scholars look at the lines of the cards and different relationships between the cards. I tend to take the cards in isolation, but for these videos, trying to add some additional context and information for those who are not familiar with tarot or who also want to learn more about the deck. So the thing about the risk card is people have trouble seeing this card and actually seeing the images that it's overlaid. So because risk is associated with strength, which I'll show you the strength card in a moment, we actually have a fighter at rest, in the dark, at rest, but ready for action. You see the muscles, the fists are taped. There's that protective action, but also the head is bowed. It's a guarded stance, but it's not necessarily a fighting stance. And then that's overlaid with this breakwater. So for those of you not familiar with breakwater, as you see, you have the tumultuous power and consistent power of the ocean that will eventually go through those rocks. But having this breakwater allows for the ships to have a safer, steadier cove before they kind of swing around these stones and go out into the ocean, and helps it be a little bit less tumultuous. So you have a lot of power in this card. The tarot card associated with this is strength. And the correlation here to a business context is risk. So thinking about, are you ready to fight? Will you be beaten? What's going to happen out there in the cycles? Are you prepared for the market and the fierceness and tumultuousness of the market? And so then this overlays into that risk card. So I just wanted to share that because sometimes people have trouble seeing the fighter in this card. We've actually made at least 3 different versions, maybe even more of this card before we landed on this one. This was a challenging one to pin, a very important card, but a challenging one to pin. Something that's missing here is this card usually has a very divine feminine energy. It's a more feminine associated card. So you can look at that with the idea of like nature and the water. But for this particular card, our fighter is male. So as we look closer at risk and we think about the breakwater, so a ship in the harbor is safe, but that's not what ships are built for. So as we think about risk and risk tolerance, which is so essential to determining whether or not you will even embark on that entrepreneurial journey, if you'll survive as an entrepreneur, whether you're taking too much or too little risk, definitely impacts your business. And as I mentioned, this is card 8, so associated with strength. So the idea here for the strength card is we have that divine feminine, but also that strength and force. So the sentiment behind the strength card is not that she's overpowering the lion, but it's that she has that trust. The white dress is the purity, the relationship with the lion. So it's choosing to trust her. Some people may look at this as an act of submission, with the hand on the head and towards the jaw. But as we think about risk and we think about strength, the idea of this particular tarot card is that strength is not about overpowering or, the card that's associated with victory in the tarot deck. This is more a kind of quiet strength, a trusting relationship. So if you think about it as well, in the fighter that's at rest or where the boats are behind the breakwater, there's a calm there, even though there's a lot of power and tumultuous. You have the power of the light, the lion, the power of the ocean. And then also she has the infinity symbol, which is similar. The infinity symbol is in a few other cards in the tarot deck. I believe the Two of Pentacles, and then also in the Magician. Thinking about that consistency, that constant, this is something that goes on constantly. So in Otherkin Tarot, about strength, strength is a special card that reminds us of what true power is. The card represents a high level of self-mastery, inner strength, and spiritual knowledge. These are not qualities you have by chance. They come from doing the difficult work of understanding and accepting your strengths and weaknesses. So again, we have that look inward. This is the beginning of look inward, that the strength card or risk, it's not about, going out on the market and being risky or staying locked up and afraid of taking risks, or the strength of overpowering others. It's really that kind of looking in the mirror and self-examination from an entrepreneurial perspective, and then also from a journey perspective. Where is your strength and that quiet strength, and also how you look at how are you working with the natural elements and things that may be stronger than you to still be successful, because the ocean can overpower the boats, the lion can overpower the women. And it's a matter of working in that kind of trusted partnership, but then also being aware of limitations. So questions to consider when it comes to risk. How are you leveraging risk to support your success? What are your actual versus perceived risks? Especially if you're on the reluctant side, the magnitude of your perceived risks may be greater than your actual risks. Or sometimes for entrepreneurs who aren't on the reluctant side, there can be a lack of looking at this carefully, and then that can lead to downfall. How does your risk tolerance serve and not serve you? And how can rest or peace fuel your next win? So, strength we normally associate with force, muscles, challenge. But as we think about strength, and as you look at the traditional card as well as the reluctant entrepreneur card, we have boats at rest. We have the lion and the woman and the fighter also at rest. So thinking about rest or peace to also cultivate your strength and use it strategically. If you want to listen more, we talk about risk in episode 2 of Cross Street Coaching, season 4. This was before I knew that this was going to turn into a tarot deck. We were just talking about business concepts. And I think risk, especially risk around money, though also potentially around failure and reputation, is one of the predominant things that either stops reluctant entrepreneurs from taking those entrepreneurial steps, and or is often what closes businesses down if someone doesn't take enough risk or takes too much risk, and that challenge of balancing the amount of risk and reward. The song I chose for this is Frank Sinatra's My Way, because it's such a powerful song, but at the same time, he's calm. It has crescendos in it, but he's more soft-spoken. He's more kind of mellow. And so that mellow strength and mellow power is a lot of what we look at for the strength card. And as we think about risk, risk can be so terrifying, but it's part of the entrepreneurial journey. There has to be that peace with it. There has to be that comfort with taking a certain amount of risk, or mitigating risks, or calculated risks in order to move forward. So what's interesting from a lyric perspective is the song actually starts with, "And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain." So though he's not referencing the death card and the judgment and justice card, those do follow this card in the tarot cycle. I state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full. I've traveled each and every highway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. So you see him out and venturing. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I did what I had to do and saw it through without exemption. And I think that really does relate to risk and strength, because there's no perfect way to be an entrepreneur. You're not going to get it all right. Even if you do everything perfectly, the market's going to change, your customers are going to change. And so he talks about byway. And so just even that motion as we think about strength and risk. Yes, there were times I'm sure you knew when I bit off more than I could chew, but through it all, when there was doubt, I ate it up and spit it out. I faced it all and I stood tall and did it my way. I had my share of losing. And may I say, not in a shy way, oh no, not me, I did it my way. For what is a man? What has he got? If not himself, then he has not. To say the things he truly feels, and not the words of one who kneels. The record shows I took the blows and I did it my way. So there's so much strength and power in this song, but at the same time, someone who doesn't speak English wouldn't necessarily know this is a song about that risk and power and strength and him doing it his way. And when we think about Sinatra and Sinatra's career, you look at a legend and a successful career. So that level of quiet strength, that level of risk can really make a positive and tremendous impact. So if you'd like to learn more, check us out at reluctantentrepreneur.com. We have the descriptions, the questions, the podcast episodes, this video, and ways you can work with us. We're also on Instagram at Reluctant Entrepreneur Tarot. Thanks for watching and look forward to following up.